Don't forget, you need to have volume. The fans are very loud, so you don't want your audience to miss any aspect. Imagine that you're hitting the last person in the last row, or you're reaching to the lobby or the two outer corners. So strong volume from the diaphragm.
On November 14th, 1998, the members of Tectonic Theater Project traveled to Laramie, Wyoming, and conducted interviews with the people of the town. During the next year, we returned to Laramie several times to conduct over 200 interviews. The play you are about to see is edited from those interviews, as well as from journal entries by members of the company and other found texts. Company member, Greg Parati.
My first interview was with Detective Sergeant King of Laramie Police Department. At the start of the interview, he was sitting behind his desk, sitting something like this.
I was born and raised here. My family is third generation. My grandparents moved here in the early 1900s. We basically had three, well, my daughter makes it fourth generation. In quite a while. It's a good place to live. Good people, lots of space. Now, in all the towns in southern Wyoming are laid out in space because the railroad came through. It was how far they could go before having to refuel and rewater. And Laramie was a major stopping point. That's why the towns are spaced so far apart. We're one of the largest states in the country and least populated.
There's so much space between people and towns. So much time for reflection.
Rebecca Hilliker, head of the theater department at the University of Wyoming.
You have an opportunity to be happy here. I find that people here were nicer than they was right to teach because they were happy. They were glad to spend time. Which meant a lot.
What you have is, you have your old-time, traditional type ranchers. They've been here forever, and Laramie's been the hub of where they come for their supplies and stuff like that.
Stewardship is one thing all our ancestors taught us.
Eileen Engine, rancher.
If you don't take care of the land, then you ruin it and you lose your living. So first of all, you have to take care of your land and do everything you can to improve it.
I love it here.
Doc O'Connor, limousine driver.
You couldn't put me back in that mess out there back east. Best thing about it is the climate. Cold, the wind. They say the Wyoming wind will drive a man insane. But you know what? It don't bother me. Well, some of the times it bothers me, but most of the time it don't.
And then you got the university population.
I moved here after living in a couple of big cities.
Philip Dubois, president of the University of Wyoming.
I loved it there, but you have to be out of your mind to let your kids out after dark. And here in the summertime, my kids play out at night till 11 o'clock, and I don't think twice about it.
And then you have the people who live in Laramie, basically.
I moved here from rural Texas.
Zachy Salmon, Laramie resident.
Now, in Laramie, if you don't know a person, you will definitely know someone they know. So it can only be 1 degree removed at most. And for me, I love it. I mean, I love to go to the grocery store because I get to visit with 4 or 5 or 6 people every time I go. And I don't really mind people knowing my business because what's my business? I mean, my business is basically good.
I like the trains, too. They don't bother me. Well, some of the times they bother me, but most times they don't. Even though one goes by every 13 minutes out where I live.
Doc actually lives up in Boston, but everyone in Laramie knows him. He's also not really a doc.
They used to carry cattle, them trains. Now they carry is diapers and cars.
I grew up in Cody, Wyoming.
April Silva, university student.
Laramie is better than where I grew up, I'll give it that.
It's a good place to live. Good people, lots of space. Now, when the incident happened with that boy, a lot of press people came here. And one time, some of them followed me out to the crime scene, and well, it was a beautiful day, absolutely gorgeous day, real clear, crisp, and the sky was that blue that, you know, you'll never be able to paint. It's just sky blue. It's just gorgeous. And the mountains in the background and a little snow on them. And this one reporter, a lady person that was out there, she said,
Well, who found the boy? Who's really out there anyway?
and I said, well, this is a real popular area for people to run, and mountain biking's really big here, and horseback riding is just, well, it's close to town. And she looked at me and she said,
Who in the hell would want to run out here?
and I'm thinking,
That's actually okay.
lady,
That one
you're
is
just
further
missing the
back.
point.
Where
You know, all you gotta do is turn around, see the mountains, smell the air, listen to the birds, and take in what's around you.
Second.
And they were just nothing but the story. I didn't feel judged, I felt they were stupid. They were missing the point. They're just missing the point.
No, tiny bit. Even with that.
So let's talk about
Yeah,
it
because then
now.
we can hit the sides. They'll be
Tell you
able to
what
see all
Laramie
the chairs.
is.
They can hit the sides.
Well,
No. Leave that one there.
you would have asked me before, I would have
No,
told
you
you.
sit there. You
Laramie's
see all
a beautiful
five
town.
chairs.
Secluded enough that you can have your own identity. A
No,
town
that-
with
over
a
there.
strong sense of community. Everyone knows everyone. A town with a personality that most larger cities are stripped of.
Okay, volume. Can't hear you.
Now, after Matthew, I would say that Laramie is a town defined by an accident. Crime. We become Waco. We become Jasper. We're a noun. A definition. A sign. We may be able to get rid of that, but it will sure take a while.
Volume. It's very hard to hear you guys over the fans. Nice and loud.
Journal entries. Members of the company. Andy Paris.
Moises called saying he had an idea for his next theater project. But there was a somberness in his voice. So I asked what it was all about.
Projection.
And he told me he wanted to do a piece on what's happening in Wyoming.
Stephen Belver.
Lee told me the company was thinking of going out to Laramie to conduct interviews and that they wanted me to come.
Interviews.
Interviews. Can I go back? Lee told me the company was thinking of going out to Laramie to conduct interviews and that they wanted me to come. But I'm hesitant. I have no real interest into prying into a town's unraveling. Amanda Gronich.
I've never done anything like this in my life. How do you get people to talk to you? What do you ask?
Moises called.
Okay, fix that if that happens. Just make sure you get it straight. Fix it. Okay.
The company has agreed that we should go to Laramie for a week and interview people. I'm a bit afraid of taking 10 people on a trip of this nature. Let's make some safety rules. No one works alone. Everyone carries cell phones. Have some
Take your
preliminary
time.
contacts.
No one works alone. Everyone carries cell phones.
Must make some safety rules. No one works alone. Everyone carries cell phones. Have some preliminary contacts with Rebecca Hilliker, head of the theater department at the
That's a
university.
separate sentence.
No one works alone. Everyone carries cell phones. Have some preliminary contacts with Rebecca Hilliker, head of the theater department at the University of Wyoming. She's hosting a party for us on our first night in Laramie and has proposed to introduce us to possible interviewees.
I must tell you that when I first heard that you were of coming here, you first called me, I wanted to say, you just kicked me in the stomach. Why are you doing this to me? But then I thought, that's stupid. You're not doing this to me. And more importantly, I thought about it and decided that we had so much negative closure on this whole thing. And the students really need to talk. When this happened, we started talking about it, and then the media descended, all dialogue stopped. You know, I really love my
Then the media descended. All dialogue stopped. Too simple. Careful.
And then the media descended, and all dialogue stopped.
Okay.
You know, I really love my students because they are free thinkers. And you may not like what they have to say, and you may not like their opinions, because they can be very redneck, but they are honest
I've lived in Wyoming my whole life.
What?
I've lived in Wyoming my whole life. The family has been in Wyoming, well, for generations. Now when it came time to go to college, my parents couldn't afford to send me to college. I wanted to study theater. And I knew that if I was going to go to college, I was going to have to get on a scholarship. And so they have this competition each year, this Wyoming State High School competition. And I knew that if I didn't take first place in duets, that I wasn't going to get a scholarship. So I went to the theater department of the university looking for good scenes, and I asked one professor, I was like, I need a killer scene. He was like,
Okay, killer. I needed a killer scene.
I need a killer scene.
Yeah, a killer scene. Drop scene.
Killer scene. He
Drop
was like,
scene.
A killer scene.
Yeah.
A killer scene. And he was like, here you go. This is it. It was from
That's a good thing.
Angels.
That's a good thing. It was like, here you go. That's a good thing.
Here you go. This is it. And it was from Angels in America. So I read it. I knew that I could win best scene if I did a good enough job. When the time came, I told my mom and dad so that they could come to this competition. You have to understand, my parents, every ball game, every hockey game, everything I've ever done. They brought me to their room, told me that if I did that scene, that they would not come to see me in a competition. Because they believe that it is wrong. That homosexuality is wrong. They felt that strongly about it that they didn't want to come see their own son do probably the most important thing he do to that point in his life. I didn't know what to do. I had never, ever gone against my parents' wishes. So I was kind of worried. I decided to do it. And all I can remember about the competition is that when we were done, me and my scene partner, we come up to each other, we shook hands, and there was a standing ovation. It was amazing. And we took first place, and we won. That's how I can afford to be at the university, because of that scene. It was one of the best moments of my life. My parents weren't there. To this day, that was one of the things that my parents didn't seem to do. Thinking back on it, I think, why did I do it? Why did I include my parents? I'm not gay, so what did I do? I guess the only honest answer I can give is that, well, I wanted to win. Such a good scene. It was the best scene. Do you know Mr. Kushner? Maybe you could tell him.
Company member Greg Perotti.
We arrived today in the Denver airport and drove to Laramie. The moment we crossed the Wyoming border, I swear, I saw a herd of buffalo. Also, I thought it was strange that the Wyoming side said,
Wyoming, like no place on earth.
instead of Wyoming, like no place else on earth.
Company member Lee Fondowski. I stopped at the local inn for a bite to eat, and my waitress said to me,
Hi, my name is Debbie. I was born in 1954, and Debbie Reynolds was big then. So yes, there are a lot of us around. But I promise that I won't slap you with your elbows on the table.
Today, the company tried to explain to me, to no avail, what chicken fried steak was.
Now, are you from Wyoming, or are you just passing through? Just passing through.
Company member Barbara Ritz.
We arrived in Laramie tonight, just past the Welcome to Laramie sign, population 26,687. The first thing to greet us was a Walmart. In the dark, we could be on any main drag in America. Fast food chains, gas stations. But as we drove into the downtown area by the railroad tracks, the building still looked like a turn-of-the-century western town. Oh, and as we passed the University Inn, on the sign were amenities such as heated pool or cable TV are usually touted, it said, hate is not a Laramie value.
Greg Karate.
Okay, you gotta let her clear before you go up.
I met today with two longtime Laramie residents, Allison Mears and Marge Merhav, two social service workers who taught me a thing or two.
Well, what Laramie used to be like when Marge was growing up, well, it was mostly rural. Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it, you know. My kids all have horses.
Well, there was more land. I mean, you could just keep your pet cow, your horse, your little chickens. You know, just have your bit of acreage.
Yeah, and I could run around the house on my own together just to do the housework while the kids were in school, and nobody could see me. And if they got that close,
Well, then that's their problem.
yeah.
I just want to make sure I got the expression right. In your all-togethers?
Well, yeah, honey. Why wear clothes?
Now, how is he going to use that in his play?
So this was a big ranching town.
Oh, not just ranching. This was a big railroad town at one time. Before they moved everything to Cheyenne and Green River and Omaha. So now, well, it's just a drive through the spot for the railroad. Because even though it wasn't in the 50s, well, they had one big roundhouse. And it had
Dad, open up, because you're not opening, you're
Right.
losing everything down your body.
And they had such a shop that they could build a complete engine.
It did. My mom worked there.
Your mom worked in a roundhouse?
Yep, she washed engines. Her name was Minnie. We used to, sing that song for her. You know that song.
What song?
Run for the roadhouse, Minnie, the camp car over there.
But I'll tell you, Wyoming isn't bad in terms of jobs. I mean, the university has big, high, whoop-de-doo jobs, but Wyoming, unless you're a professional, well, the bulk of the people are working minimum wage jobs.
Yeah, I've either been in the service industry or bartending my entire life. Now I know almost everyone in town.
And she does.
And I do. Now that I'll tell you, here in Laramie there's a difference, and there always has been. What it is a class distinction. It's about the well-educated and the ones that are not. And the educated don't understand why the ones that are not don't get educated.
I'm losing all that.
That's why I told you before my kids had to fight because their mother was a bartender. Never mind, I was the best damn bartender in town.
And she was.
That's not bragging, that's fact.
But here in Laramie, if it weren't for the university, you'd just be SOL.
What's S-O-L?
Well, do I have to say it? Well, shit out of luck. Oh, Lordy. You got that on your tape? Boy, you're getting an education today.
Yeah, I guess I am. So let me ask you, what was your response when this happened to Matthew Shepard?
Well, I'm close enough to the case to know many of them. I have a daughter that's on the sheriff's department. As far as the gay issue, I don't give a damn one way or another as long as they don't bother. And even if they did, I'd just say no thank you. That's the attitude of most of the Laramie population. They might poke one if they're in a bar situation, they've been drinking, they might actually smack one in the mouth, but then they just walk away. Most of them said they would just say, I don't swing that way, and what's on about their business. Laramie is live and let live.
I'd say that Marge probably knows a lot more than except she's even willing to say. We have to respect her for that.
Louder.
Well, where are you going with this story?
Oh, well, we still haven't decided. When we finished, we're going to try to bring it around to Laramie.
Okay, then there are parts I won't tell you.
And there are parts I won't tell you.
Company
So drop the
member
one.
Andy Paris.
Today, for the first time, we met someone who actually knew Matthew Shepard. Trish Stager, owner of a shop in town, referred to him as Matt.
Matt used to come into my shop. That's how I know him.
It was the first time that I heard him referred to as Matt instead of Matthew. Did he go by Matt to everyone?
Well, on the 2nd of October, I get a phone call about 10 after 7.
Doc O'Connor.
It was Matthew Shepard. And he said, can you pick me up on the corner of 3rd and Grand? So anyhow, I pull up to the corner to see who Matthew Shepard, you know? It's a little guy, about 5'2", soaking wet. I bet you 97 pounds tops. They say he weighed 110, but I wouldn't believe it. They also said he was 5'5" in the newspapers. But this man, he was really only about 5'2", maybe 5'1". So he walks up the window. I'm going to try and go in steps so you can better understand the principle of this man. So he walks up to the window, and I say, are you Matthew Shepard? And he says, yeah, I'm Matthew Shepard. But I don't want you to call me Matthew or Mr. Shepard. I don't want you to call me anything. My name is Matt. And I want you to know, I am gay, and we're going to a gay bar. Do you have any problem with that? And I said, how are you paying?
Just pause between that. And I said, how you paying?
And I said, how are you paying? The fact is, Laramie doesn't have any gay bars. And for that matter, neither does Wyoming. So he was hiring me to take him down to Fort Collins, Colorado, about an hour away. Pat was a blunt little shit, you know what I'm saying? He always was. But I liked him, because he was straightforward, you see what I'm saying? Maybe gay, but straightforward, you see what I'm saying?
I don't know. You know, how does one person ever tell about the other? You should really talk to my sister, Romaine. She was a very close friend of Matthew's.
We never called him Matthew, actually. Most of the time we called him Choo Choo, you know, because we used to call him Matt Choo, and then we just called him Choo Choo. And whenever I think of Matthew, I always think of his incredible beaming smile. I mean, he'd walk in and he'd just be like, you know, and he'd smile at everyone. He just made you feel great. And he would like stare people down in the coffee shop because he always wanted to sit on the end seat so that he could talk to me while I was working. And if someone was sitting in that seat, he would just sit there and stare at them until they left, and then he would claim a spot. But Matthew definitely had a political side to him. I mean, he really wanted to get into political affairs. That's all his big interest was. I was watching CNN and MSNBC, and that's the only TV station I ever saw his TV turn on into. He was just really smart in political affairs, but not too smart in like common sense. So he moves to Laramie to go to school.
Matthew was very shy when he first came in,
John Peacock, Matthew Shepard's academic life.
to the point of being somewhat mousy. I'd almost say he was having some difficulties adjusting. But this was home for him, and he made that quite clear. And so his mousiness, his shyness, gave way to a person who was